And we have Hakki Ocal in the studio. We've got Dogan Yilmaz in the studio. And joining us now to get a perspective from Europe is Laura Batalla. She's the Secretary General at the European Parliament Turkey Forum, and she joins us from Spain. Thank you so much for joining our panel today, Laura. Now, your organization, the European Parliament Turkey Forum, has issued a statement condemning US tariffs on Turkey, and it reads that the EU considers these tariffs based on national security concerns as illegitimate and against WTO rules. And economic destabilization of Turkey is in no one's interest. Does your organization believe that Turkey's economy is being destabilized, Laura?
Well, it does. The tariffs that the U.S. administration has been putting on Turkey have clearly destabilized the economy. But at the same time, it's true that it's not only Trump's fault, the decline in the Turkish economy. As it was explained by the previous panelists, we have been seeing a recession in the economy, and the sanctions are only putting to that, and the imposition of tariffs. So we are seeing how Trump is taking advantage of the fragile state of the Turkish economy by putting pressure on political issues.
What can Europe do? Relations between Turkey and Europe haven't been ideal, to say the least, in the past 2 years. Is there a role, a constructive, positive role that Europe can play?
Well, we have been witnessing a normalization of relations since Varna summit in Bulgaria in the past few months ago. And we have been seeing now some EU member states have been sending messages of support to Turkey in this new economic role with the United States. And we've seen normalization steps with the Netherlands, for example. Now the diplomatic relations have been reinstated since last month. In Germany, for example, we have also seen a relaxation of the travel advisory ban to Turkey, and as well how it has been lifting the business restrictions in the country. Now Turkey and Germany will be meeting at the end of September, and on the agenda there's not only discussing bilateral issues but also reviewing the accession talks. So we see in a way that there's a rapprochement between the two sides because the US, it's not only this trade war, it's not only against Turkey, it's against many other partners around the world, including the European Union as well. So this is not only affecting US-Turkey relations, but also the transatlantic relation at large.
I want to get Dogan Yilmaz into the conversation. Laura, stay with us. Dogan, Europe economically essential for Turkey.
Yes.
Is there a way forward then with the US now targeting Turkey and EU with selective tariffs?
Well, I totally agree with Laura in terms of when President Trump said Turkey has been taking advantage of US. It's totally the opposite way right now. Like Laura said, the President Trump has been taking advantage of a vulnerable state of Turkish economy right now. This is not a friendly approach at all. But we have seen this from the President Trump towards China, Russia, and European Union. He's playing to his own constituency, of course, like President Erdogan also. Turkey has to find alternatives, and Turkey has been looking for alternatives and finding those alternatives in the past.
Turkey has to find alternatives, but what is the expectation in Ankara, Hakka? As far as these alternatives are concerned, Russia is looking towards China. They're talking about a single currency. We'll get to that as well, or an alternative currency to the dollar. But what is the expectation from Europe?
As Dogan says, I mean, alternatives only in terms of economic relations should be not right. You have to find, there are a couple of mistakes or wrong posture of Turkish economy, to say the least. First of all, we notice that most of the Turkish exports are somewhat depending on the imports. So Turkey has to find new ways to make 100% national domestic exports. And also, they need to find markets.
As far as Turkey has been saying, it wants visa-free travel, it wants more access to the European market, things that Europe and European leaders, the EU, hasn't necessarily agreed to. Laura, can we expect any sort of rapprochement as far as visa-free travel, something that Turkey has been pushing for a few years now?
Well, the Foreign Affairs Minister Çavuşoğlu yesterday announced that there will be a renewed momentum when it comes to the visa liberalization talks. At the same time, the Council in the June conclusions said that EU accession talks are at the moment at a standstill and that no further work is expected for the modernization of the customs union. The thing is that now we see a new opportunity. There should be new engagement from both sides, and I think both sides are ready to sit down and start this dialogue. There's a major standing block when it comes to visa liberalization talks, which is the anti-terror law. Turkey submitted already a new positioning when it comes to this law, and the European Commission is at the moment examining this. So not everything is lost. I think we might see a change in direction after the meeting with Germany, which holds back the modernization of the customs union at the moment. But now that relations bilaterally are improving, visa liberalization talks might also advance if the European Union side sees some improvement from Turkey's side. But one thing needs to be said as well. This is the position of the Council. The European Parliament has a different one, and a new report might be coming in the coming months. And if we take into account the position from the European Parliament's resolution last year, we might be seeing a renewed call for suspending talks because the European Parliament considers that the new presidential system does not respect some of the rule of law and separation of powers. So this might also be getting a lot of attention in the coming months.
Well, that's what Europe has been saying for some time, and Turkey has countered that assertion by saying that this is a democratic process. These reforms, constitutional changes were part of a referendum, a democratic referendum in this country. But European leaders, of course, have voiced their concerns and opposition to this. Bringing it back, I want to turn your attention to Sergei Lavrov. The foreign minister of Russia was in Turkey recently, and he said that as the dollar is the main, well, he said that we should look for using our own currencies when it comes to international trade. But the dollar is a reserve currency globally. Is this a feasible suggestion?
Well, that's unfortunate. Many countries, especially emerging countries, and Turkey, China, and Russia have been trying to just impose this, and using, especially Iran too. When you look at the country under embargo for so long time, and Turkey is just a neighbor. And there is no other logic than just exchanging goods in between countries or using the same the local currencies. But unfortunately this hasn't happened because you can see that the commodities in the world are traded in US dollars and gold and others. So
basically the US can get away with.
Yes, this is going to take some time, but the countries, emerging countries and other countries, developed countries also, even ECB has been pushing hard on euro since its inception. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened. Only I think 1 or 2% of the total trade in the world is done by transacted over euro at the moment. And 90-some% of the world trade is still in US dollar terms.
Thank you so much, Dogan Yilmaz, Hakki Ocal, and Laura Batalla Adam, who joined us from Spain. And that's all for this edition of Straight Talk with me, Ali Mustafa. If you have any comments or suggestions, do share them with us on Twitter with the hashtag Straight Talk. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.